simpatico, and you'll be among the first to hear it live. Grammy-nominated jazz legends at the top of their game. Do not miss this incredible musical experience. Grab your tickets now at jazzalley.com. That's jazzalley.com.
Here with the Rainier Avenue Radio traffic update. You can listen to us in your car 24/7 anytime by downloading the free TuneIn app. Once you do, search Rainier Avenue Radio. And remember, do not curse out your fellow drivers. This has been your Rainier Avenue Radio traffic update.
Well, hello everyone, and thank you for joining another episode of Real Estate Money. It's so good to see you today. And is everybody doing? How's everybody doing after this 4th of July weekend? Have you recovered? Are you doing well? We shall see. Anyways, hello V.
Hi, Tina. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm doing fine.
We had a lot of people at the house on the 4th of July, but it was pretty fun. I think everyone had a good time. We saw the fireworks from our back deck and hoping that the 20 people on the deck were not going to fall when the deck collapses, but it was strong enough to hold everyone. I had blankets for everyone too.
This is great. Yeah. So you recovered though. Was it like a stressful time, or was it good stress or bad stress or just stress period?
It was a good stress actually. And it was fun to have some little kids there. My sister's family of 10 came from California. Okay. So not only did I have people staying here on and off for 2 weeks, which will end on Saturday, this coming Saturday, but, then on top of that, to have a gathering of 20 people for the 4th. Not too bad. Not so stressful as other things in my life.
Okay. Yeah. So
how about you? What do you guys do?
Well, we performed at Pindustry, which is a great big giant venue here in Colorado, and it's usually packed. There's usually 2,000 or 3,000 people there, and I think there was maybe 57 people there, like no joke, and including us 6 on stage. But it wasn't in a park. It wasn't anywhere where they had fireworks. And so it was kind of weird because we've never played at a place so dead. But, then we had thunderstorms or something that happened in the afternoon, so that kind of scared some people away. So, that's fine. We were able to just perform and, no big thing. And then the next day we went to, I think it's called Pionai, but it's right next to Aspen. It's a little town, and we did their Cherry Festival days, and that was about a 5.5 hour drive to get up there. We stayed. We had a good time. We had 2,500 people at that one venue outside in the parks. Nice. So that was kind of fun. But it took all a day of Sunday and Monday to recoup from that. But we were fortunate. They gave us a motel, and then one of the ladies that organized the event let us 3 women stay at her Airbnb. So she had an extra house outside on her property that we actually stayed at. So other than the unrecognizable spiders that we saw on the property, it was absolutely gorgeous.
Wow,
absolutely gorgeous. But
Tina, was this a detached ADU you're talking about?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Nice.
It had 2 it had 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, kitchen. It was a house. It was a nice house. It sat on her property. She had gardens everywhere, and I think she sat on like 2 or 3 acres. So it was absolutely gorgeous. And she was about a throne's throw away, about a half a mile away from a winery that you can see from where we were at. There was wineries down beneath her, and so it was gorgeous. So, we entertained her. We kind of snuck into her house. We saw her there. We're like, hey, can we see your house? So she let us see her big house, and it was absolutely gorgeous. It was like Yellowstone. The television show Yellowstone. I was like, what is going on here, And she does have guests and stuff that come in. And, that's why today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be talking about vacation homes, owning a vacation home, what that entails. And, having people come over. If your house is the vacation home, your family destination, what are you going to do? Should you buy an investment property? How can you make your house slash family vacation home? So like for instance, because I live in Denver and most of my family lives in Seattle, I am the vacation slash home. So people will come here and stay at my house as a vacation home. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what you can do to entertain guests, or what you should do to prep your house for guests when they come. And then we're going to talk about, hey, what if you want to go to Aspen, or if you want to go to Ocean Shores and you want to buy investment property there, vacation homes there, what does that look like?
Yeah.
Right? So it's the time of the year, Violeta. I know Violeta had a place down in Cannon Beach,
And there you have it. Right there.
Let's kick it off. Yes. Timing.
Love
Well,
that
let's kick
view.
it off.
Okay.
Well, yes. Oh, that's the view behind you.
I'll go through my homes that I looked for.
Okay.
And again, seaside, Cannon Beach, down the Oregon coast. That was where we loved to be years ago when the kids were younger, and we were able to go every weekend. That K-Stack Rock, can't beat that view. Beautiful all year long. So we were there quite a bit. We had that house for a number of years. We completely remodeled and then sold it to a neighbor who was antsy to buy my little house. She lived in the big house in front of us, and she wanted a little place for her kids and grandkids to stay at and not disrupt her place, the big house. But, there's so many things to do and so many places to go. There are options of vacation destinations. So I'm going to go over a few of these. And Daniel, Yes, Daniel, I'm ready to get going on the vacation homes that I have pulled for you. One of the places, I looked at a couple of places outside of the state of Washington, and came back into Washington to look at a couple more. But one of the places was Bend, Oregon. And not so far from here, from Washington State. And, the summers are really nice, a lot of trails and golf and wintertime. It's nice there too. So you got Bend, Sun River, and here's a home that I'm showing $350,000. Not bad for a 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath. You could rent these places outside of Washington State in case you don't get a chance to go there all the time, but you want something to go to and call it your own little vacation home. You could rent it out, and Tina will talk about how to do that too. And for a little over 1,000 square feet, it's big enough for your little family. Throw some mattresses or air mattresses on the ground, and you can have room for a bunch of people like this. Move the table away from the fireplace and couch area. Use the couch and throw down an air mattress, and you got it made. You got room for 4 more people. Yeah, so it's a good place to be, Bend, Oregon. And then the next place, Tina, you should talk about Vail, Colorado. I looked at a few other places that you had suggested, and you know what, including Vail, a lot of homes were selling for millions of dollars. I couldn't find anything. Really, this was amazing that I could find a Vail home. It's actually a condo. You can see that on the left-hand side. It's the Sebastian. It's called. Are you familiar with this place?
It's called Sebastian, so it's outside of Vail.
Oh, no, the place itself. That building is called the Sebastian.
Oh, no.
And one of those condos is $360,000, but 3-bedroom, 3-bath. That's amazing. You could rent this place for $4,600 a month.
No, I disagree. You could rent that for $4,200 a night. Okay, it's crazy.
A night?
In the wintertime, it is insane. Yes. So that price, $360, that's actually really, really good.
It's really good. I was amazed. And then everything else was above that, or like I said, in the millions of dollars. And this is a condo. It's not a home, okay, like the Bend, Oregon was. But for rent, for either one of those two places, 4,500, 5,000. It says a month. Maybe you're right. It must be
Sometimes in the winter it's a day, it's a night.
Yeah. I would imagine, because Vail, a lot of the Colorado destinations that you talked about, snow country, skiing. That's the thing to do in Colorado, right? And the reason why people buy there is because, like, from here, it's a short flight over, and the weather, whether it's a summer, fall, winter, spring, it's going to be a great place. I know Tina talks about the differences in weather from day to day, but for vacationers, they don't care. They just want to go there when it's snowing.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yes.
And that's what they do. It's a ski destination. And then back into Washington State, I took a look at Leavenworth. Here's a little cabin in the woods, but you see a little creek or river, the Wenatchee River, I believe it is, background there. And the price of this home is $775 for a 3-bedroom, 1 3/4 bath home at just under 1,300 square feet in the woods by the river. Got to be a nice place.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, pretty cool. And I know you like to be out camping, and there's places on the property you can go set up a fire pit or whatever, or just a plain old campfire. It would be fun with s'mores and all that for the kids. And then the last place is Copalis Beach, Washington. For $475,000, you can own this 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home. A little over 2,000 square feet. So for the money, man, and look at the view. You get stunning ocean views from Copalis Beach, and you can walk out to this beach area, and walk for miles. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
So yeah, there's options for you here in Washington State. And like I said, if you want to go outside of the state, you can do that too. And maybe Tina, you can quickly tell them how they can have their primary home here and then either get another place in this area or outside of the state for a summer place that you can rent.
Yes. Daniel, I'll send you, I'll call on that link I just sent you right now in a little bit, in just a few minutes. But as far as a vacation property, there are 2 ways to buy it. You can buy it as a second home, or you can buy it as an investment property. Now, investment property, you don't live in it. It's purely for investment. I mean, if you want to go there, 2 or 3 months out of the year or something, that's fine. But investment property is basically to make money. It's a commercial property you're not living with. You're not living inside. And then a second home may be a good way to go about things now, too. You can buy a home, let's say, like you bought it in Cannon Beach, and you're just going back and forth and back and forth. You can buy a second home and then later turn it into a vacation home. If you live in it 6 months out of the year, but those other 6 months it's idle, it's vacant, it's not doing anything, you can rent it out those months. The key to that is, let's say that you want to retire in Miami, or you want to retire in Huntington Beach, California, or in Bremerton or somewhere like that. If you should buy the property now, make it a second home, and it turns into a rental property, or you just buy it as an investment property. What happens is when you retire, or when you're ready to pull the plug on your working days, you'll have a house that's paid for. Now, I do have a lot of friends right now, they have retired. They own their own Airbnb. They live in one part of the house, and they either share the kitchen with the people who are renting the other part of the house, or they have some type of a duplex. I have one friend that actually lives in Palm Springs, and she just stays in her little room with her little kitchenette and everything, and she rents out the rest of the condo, which is on the golf course in Palm Springs, and she lives off of that primarily. So you can actually buy a home as a second home or buy it as an investment property, and the difference is you put more money down on an investment property because it's not your primary. A second home, you have to live in it certain times, a certain amount of months during the year to be designated as a second home. But you can certainly buy these. With a second home, you have to put at least 10% down, sometimes 15% down. If you do an investment property, it's classically 15% down to 20% down, depending on the rental income, the loan to value, your credit score, that sort of thing. But it's very, very wise to buy. Like I keep thinking about that $360,000 home in Vail. To put 20% down, that's like $72,000. You can put that down in a home and you will have positive cash flow. That's something that you want to think about just for retirement purpose, or because you'd like to help out with your expenses while you are working. Now, Daniel, if you can pull up that form really quick that I showed you, and thanks for pulling it up earlier, we're going to talk about the benefits, the tax benefits of owning rental property. Now, Violeta, all of us know that you have your mortgage now, and that you can write off the mortgage interest on your tax returns. But here are the 7 primary benefits of owning your own rental property. Now, number 1 here we want to go to. Let me see here. Keep going down just a little bit more, Daniel. There are there's certain things that you can do. Let me go. Okay, 7 benefits of owning your rental property. Number 1, operating expenses are deductible. So you have advertising costs, leasing commissions, landscaping, pest control, property taxes. All of these expenses may be deductible. Mortgage interest is deductible. So mortgage interest paid on a loan used to purchase rental property is fully tax deductible. So just like we have our tax deductibility in our mortgage interest, when you have a rental property, you can do that also. Number 3, you get a depreciation deduction. So the IRS allows real estate investors to depreciate rental property over a period of 27.5 years to recover the cost of wear and tear. So there's another tax benefit there of counting depreciation, whereas your ordinary house, you may not have that. Let me see. Number 4, you can defer capital gains tax. Another tax benefit is the ability to defer paying capital gains tax on depreciation recaptured by conducting section blah, 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 blah. Okay, so let's say that you sell a house normally, you buy a rental property and you sell it, and let's say you made $500,000 over the course of that. You sell it, you take the money out. You can be taxed on those capital gains. That's with anybody. If you have a rental property and you sell it, let's say you get $500,000 out off the profit of the sale of that home. If you took that $500,000 and you roll it into another property, you actually put it down on another investment property, then you will not have to pay the capital gains tax on that profit. And that's called a 1031 exchange. Okay, so that is something that a lot of investors do. They'll sell the property and they roll over to another and roll over to another. So they avoid the taxes and they get more property. Number 5, owner expenses are also deductible. So even when a real estate investor hires a local property manager to take care of the tenant home, there may be expenses that the owner can deduct.
Wow.
Travel, you can deduct travel if you're traveling to your home to look at your investment property. You can avoid FICA taxes. Number 7, you can qualify for pass-through deductions. So there's all these different tax benefits, and I'm not a CPA. I have to legally say that. I'm not a CPA, but you can just Google this stuff on the internet and see that there are tax benefits for buying rental property. So thank you, Daniel. So I was telling Violeta earlier, I met a couple, they were doctors, they're medical doctors, and they were making, like $500,000 a year in income, and they had no tax write-off. So a lot of their income was going towards Uncle Sam. So somebody told them about the art of owning investment properties. And they realized that just, buying investment properties not only made them money in equity, but they're able to write off a lot of their taxes that they earned. They were able to start finding ways to save some of that money instead of paying taxes. And now they're going on to investing in these giant apartment buildings, which they renovate and sell. Then they roll it over and buy other apartment buildings, which they renovate and sell. And they did all of this just by trying to avoid paying taxes on their income. So if you do make a lot of money and you are, paying a lot towards income taxes, that's another reason just to buy investment property. Not only because you want to live in South Beach, but it could be because you want to save some of that income by getting these tax deductions. So it's a very lucrative thing. And, it's not really that hard to manage investment property. So Violeta, I get a lot of people who say, yeah, if I rent my house, who's going to manage it? I don't have time to manage it. It's in Tennessee and I'm over here in Washington. I'm over here in Colorado. What do I do? Well, a lot of times you hire property managers. And so when I lived in Seattle and I moved here, I rented my property for 3 years. And I used a property manager. I actually used Coldwell Banker, where you are at. I used Coldwell Banker, Danforth. I used their commercial property management company. So they took care of everything. It was amazing. They collected the rent. They actually vetted the renters. They collected the rent. If there was any issues with the lighting or the plumbing, we had a little reserve account that they took it from. And for 3 years, it was seamless. And so I was able to get income off of that and really not worry about being here in Colorado. So if you want to buy investment property, it doesn't have to be in your street. A lot of times it's aggravating if it's in your street and you see everything that's going on and you become a control landlord freak. But it's if you do have places like in California or Miami or Texas or Denver, if there's areas, or Las Vegas is very, very big. A lot of my Filipino friends moved from Seattle to Las Vegas, or from Denver
Of course.
to Las Vegas. If you, my sister owns property in Vegas too. But if you have something like Vegas, you go to Vegas, once or twice a month, like some folks do, or every other month. You say, hey, I just want to get a condo here by the MGM. I want to get a house in Summerlin or Henderson or something. I want to get a house. And it's going to more than pay for itself when you think about all the hotel costs that I spend when I go down there. Go ahead and buy that property. Talk to me, talk to Violeta, and see if you can get a house in those particular areas. And we can pre-approve you. You can be in 50 states. You can buy in Hawaii. You can buy in Alaska. We don't care. Go buy in Hawaii if you'd like to. Talk to us, how much you qualify for, how much you would require down, whether you go second home, or if you go investment property. We can tell you what you qualify for. And let's say you qualify for $850,000 or $250,000, whatever. When you find a house in Vegas, you find a house in southern Texas or something, you find that house, you just get a real estate agent in that area, and Violeta can certainly set you up with somebody and buy the house. There's no rule that you have to buy the house in the same city.
What about international destinations? Are there a lot of people buying in the Philippines or Costa Rica, for example?
We have a lot of friends buying in the Philippines. They all go there. They're like, I'm buying an island. Yes, there are a lot of people who buy. And we don't do loans in like Mexico, or we don't do loans in Canada. We don't have the jurisdiction to go to these different places because of licensing and banking. I believe though, they're, like Bank of America, there's some banks that go across, internationally. So a lot of people do buy the Philippines. They do enjoy the larger, the value of the dollar. So, I have a girlfriend who was a realtor in Lakewood, and she bought a computer store. She bought boats. She has we actually did something, and she bought a resort in the Philippines. But the value of the dollar is so much higher. If you've got property here in the United States and you've got equity, take out home equity, take out $200,000 or $300,000 and go buy yourself a resort in Cebu or something. So a lot of times people don't realize this. I only qualify for a $250,000 cash out. You can go to the Philippines and buy yourself a boat, a yacht, a computer store, a restaurant. So a lot of times, even in Mexico, we can do loans in Puerto Rico. I don't do it here at Texana Bank, but a lot of companies do, like Nova. I used to work for companies who do loans in Puerto Rico. So there are some, places that you can go. But if you do have equity in your house or any of your rental properties, take that out and go buy a home somewhere else. So I have people who do that all the time, Violeta. And a lot of times I have people from, from India. I have people from Korea. I've got people who are citizens in different countries, and they live here in America, and they've got interests here in America, and they want to buy rental properties. And a lot of these clients, I can do people, if you're a permanent resident alien, if you're a foreign national, we can do loans here. So if Seattle is your vacation home, certainly, V, if you've got clients who live abroad and they come here, they want to buy property, they're from England, they're from Germany, they're from Canada, they're from New Zealand, we can certainly do those loans too. So if you're out there, you're not a citizen of the U.S., but you want to buy here, you can buy here. We can pull credit reports in Canada. We can find ways. I've done a lot of people who live in the Philippines and they want to buy property in Lakewood or Bellevue or whatever. They've got credit reports in the Philippines. They've got embassies they sign out in the Philippines. Okay. So it doesn't make a difference where you are in the world. If you want to buy here, we got you.
Awesome. Yeah. Keep that in mind.
Yes. Yeah, it's something. I have people in Seattle. There's a lot of Filipinos that work on the cruise ships that dock there. Here, and they buy homes. They buy homes here. They may live on the boat, but they buy homes here. And Seattle is their destination. Or they buy homes, in Southern California or Miami or something. You can do those loans too. Yes.
Oh yes. There's a lot of people in the service industry, medical professionals, who want to buy a home or even a vacation home, like you're talking about the doctors. They just don't have time to look, right? They want something. They want to make sure their money is protected, and the biggest investment you can make is a house, any kind of real estate property. That's the best investment you can do for yourself and your family.
Yeah, and if I were living in Seattle right now, I'd be buying something in Port Angeles or Bremerton or Key Peninsula somewhere. I'd be buying property somewhere for my vacation home or rental. If I were in Seattle, I could find some places to buy rental property. Yes, I could. Yes.
Yeah. Well, what else were we going to talk about? Preparing your place for guests for the holidays, like, for the summer, for instance.
Yes. Well, yeah, I was saying, you want to make sure you've got clean towels, you've got pair of towels, you got a clean bathroom, you got conditioner, soap, they've got good linens, and you've got extra linens in your house in case anything should happen. But you want to find out if they have any dietary restrictions, so you have enough food in the refrigerator.
True. Yeah.
Violeta. You cannot eat out every night if they're vegetarian. Make sure you've got some vegetables. If they're carnivorous, make sure you've got some steak. Yeah. But make sure when people come over that you've got entertainment planned, you've got food planned, you've got activities planned. Like I was telling Violeta, my family came for Christmas. I had maybe 13 people here, and my heater went out on 2:30 on Christmas Eve. So much.
Amazing.
So make sure you've got like emergency phone numbers. I had a 24-hour place that I called up on Christmas Eve at 2:30 in the morning, and they came out and fixed everything on Christmas Day, before dinner. So, make sure you have emergency numbers if something should happen. If you have an extra car, put some gas in the extra car so your family can use it to drive around.
True.
But plan ahead and make sure if you do go visit somebody, if you're the one that's a visitor, make sure you don't have demands on your host, like I have to have a certain type of food, have to have a certain type of music, I'm going to be watching TV until 3:00 in the morning. Make sure that you don't impose upon those people who've opened their house to you. So when we left the Airbnb on Saturday, all of us took our towels, we ripped the sheets up so that they didn't have to take the sheets off. We cleaned the kitchen, we cleaned everything
Nice.
down. So if you are a guest, act like a guest. Don't take food into your bedroom and eat in your bedroom. Don't go in your bedroom and lock the door while your host is downstairs watching television, because that would be rude. So make sure you do socialize with your host if somebody should open up their house to you.
And I had one other issue come up with my guests. My nephew, definitely afraid of dogs. I have 2 dogs, and they stayed here for a couple nights, and it was not good. He hid in his bedroom downstairs. Didn't want to come out when the dogs were around. So, and then the 4th of July came around, and then, a lot more people than my dogs were used to. And then the fireworks. So you got to protect the dogs too. Have them in a room where they can be in the quietest part of the house, and maybe turn on some music, some calming music, or turn on the TV for them, just so, and they don't get underfoot, or people, the kids pulling on their tails or wanting to ride them, that kind of thing. You got to protect your animals. This is their home too.
It's their home. It's not it is their home. No, I hear you. I mean, I got a dog, and he's going to be in your face. If you don't like a little dog in your face, don't come over, because it's going to happen.
Yeah. But they're not going to go. You'll have to go. So protect everybody in the house and enjoy the time with your loved ones, friends and family, whoever they are that are coming to visit, and just make sure you're prepared for anything. I think we're done.
We're done, but goodness, it was a great show. If you have any questions, we've got our numbers below. Call us, even if you just want to chat, okay? Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next Tuesday, 2:30 p.m. Bye-bye.
Have a great week.